When we see you've got 3 or you're close to 3, we're going to bring you your flashlight. So when you're ready for your flashlight, you're going to be experimenting with the shadow. And one of the things you'll notice about shadows is shadows aren't just like one color of gray. You have some shadows that are super dark and some shadows that are kind of medium and some that are really light gray. And one way to practice that, like this is something you can do while you're waiting for the flashlight if you've done your 3 sketches, make what artists call a value scale. I've done a super long rectangle, I cut it in half, I cut it in half again on these 4 sections. In the last one, I'm going to make as dark a mark as I can with a pencil. How do you make a pencil get basically black?
You gotta push really hard. You can't see.
He should bring himself where he can see. Come on over so that you can see how to do this.
Let me get you a chair, sir.
Yeah. So I'm going to push super, super hard so that I can make it super, super dark. And I don't want to break the tip, so you can kind of experiment with how to do that without breaking the tip. This one, it's going to be the lightest it can possibly be, so I'm not even going to make any marks because the paper is the lightest it can possibly be, right? How do I make a gray that's just like barely gray?
Just go hardly push.
Like that, just like barely push?
It's like,
oh yeah, cross-hatching could work too. Barely push, and you're going to get just the lightest of gray. In this one, try to make a medium. So while you're waiting, try a value scale because your shadows are going to have the value scale too. Your shadows are going to have some super dark places and some super light places. Here's how you draw the shadows. After you've experimented with the shadows a little bit, lock into one. And I'm holding the flashlight with the hand that I'm not going to draw with. So whatever hand you draw with, you got to be doing your flashlight with the other one. If you're left-handed, you're going to be doing your flashlight with this hand. Lock into that. And then I can see, I'm going to observe it for a minute. I see a form shadow. I see the line where it goes from dark to light on the egg. And I see a cast shadow. First, I'm going to draw a line that shows where it goes from dark to light on the egg. And I see it starts about right here, it goes down to about right here, and it's curved. It will always be curved because the egg is curved. Okay? So that form shadow is always going to be a curved line. I just drew the form shadow. Now I'm going to draw the cast shadow. It starts about here on the egg, it goes around to about here. I notice it's about the same height as the egg. So I'm observing, practice it in the air, and draw. Okay, once you've gotten those 2 lines drawn, where it goes from light to dark on the egg for the form shadow, where the cast shadow, the shape of the cast shadow, you can actually rest your hand a little bit if you want. Because then you can go back and find that same shadow. Okay, it's right about here. I see that I'm matching it again. Now I'm ready for shading. Shade the darkest place first. And usually it's right under the egg, so I'm going to push really hard right under the egg. Sometimes if you put your elbow on your sketchbook, it helps. And then I'm going to shade the rest of the shadow. And when I do a big area of shading like this as an artist, I go either round and round and round and round and round, or back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it's kind of a faster way to get a big area shaded. Okay, and now I'm going to shade the form shadow, and I'm looking for the darkest place first. It looks darkest right along the line. And then the rest of the egg is also, this part is in a shadow too, but it's not quite as dark, so it's kind of more like that. So there's my sketch of that shadow, and I can revise with my eraser. I want to lighten this up a little bit. I want to erase that, clean that up, revise with my eraser. So I've done one. Now I'm gonna move my flashlight around to another interesting shadow. I kind of like this one right on top. I would first sketch the shape of the form shadow where it goes from light to dark. Then the shape of the cast shadow starts about here, goes around here. So you see the plan. See how it's different from that one? And now I'm going to shade it in. So you're going to just play around and record right on those egg shapes that you drew, record the shadows. On at least one of them, I want you to label those 3 parts. The shadow that's on the ground is called the cast shadow. The shadow that's on the form itself is called the form shadow. So on at least one of your eggs, do these labels. And the bright spot where the light hits is called the highlight. Excellent. Okay.